Okay, good morning all. I hope I'm audible. Yeah. Please ask your other friends to join as soon as possible. I've already given five, more than 5 minutes extra for you to join. Okay. So, okay, in today's today's lecture, in fact, I wanted to know from you guys whether we should proceed ahead with this syllabus or we should discuss the IA question paper. Yeah, please reply faster. We cannot waste time in waiting. Okay. A few of you say that IA question paper. Okay, if it is a high question paper, then it has to be a proper discussion, and I would expect a discussion which is usually a two-way discussion. So I hope the session is interactive, and I will equally expect that you would also answer the questions that were asked. Anyways, okay, so let me open the question paper first. Okay, so is the screen visible? Are you able to see the screen? Yeah, please unmute and anyone can acknowledge. Is this okay? Thank you, Pooja. So this is the question paper, and let's have a quick analysis. There are a few things which I wanted to discuss. I've gone through few of the answer script and few mistakes which we have already discussed in previous when I've handled few of your other subjects. So some of the mistakes I can see people have been repeating it. So I thought of having a discussion with you guys regarding this and uh, wanted to convey what are mistakes that you are doing. So uh, the whatever the input that I'll be giving, few things that I'll be mentioning, it is not just restricted to only your eye, but also important from your semester examinations point of view. So anything that you feel important, you should be making a note of it and keep those things in mind because I don't know how come you're doing this such silly mistakes. Maybe under the time pressure when you're into exam, but when you consider these silly mistakes, they are not even, I mean, they are not fetching you a good marks which you must deserve. Okay, so I thought of having a discussion with respect to that. Most of you have done well. I've gone through most of them answer script, so most of you have done well. But few things which were, are not expected from at least a final year student, I would say. Right, so I think there are few more people trying to join. I would please request to join on time. Yeah, I know you guys are joining, but I would want you to convey to your friends to join on time because what happens when I start sharing the screen, I cannot see the requests. Okay, I can only see the screen that I'm sharing. So You might request to get into the meeting, but I may not see that request. So that's why I give you 5 minutes extra before we start with the lecture, right? Okay. Anyways, so question paper. Yeah. So the question paper, first of all, was it really difficult, easy, or moderate? What was your take on this? I mean, it was, uh, according to me, I have tried to set up as simple as that. Pretty much straightforward questions. Okay, Ravi says moderate. You can unmute your mic here. Don't type in the text box. It's a discussion, right? It's not possible for me to every time see the chat box. Feel free to unmute your mic and you can have a discussion. Let it be a discussion. Even I will feel like a class. See, Shreyas is now trying to join. I don't know what is the problem with you guys, but in spite of giving 5 minutes extra, they still join a little late. The previous class was left on time, so that shouldn't be a problem. Anyways, yeah, coming to the question. Was the question paper really tough or easy or moderate or
So it
tough for?
was easy.
Sorry?
So it was easy.
Ketan says it was easy, okay. Few says you still want to type in the chat box. It was moderate, okay. So, like I said, I wanted to keep as simple as that because uh, the subject is a little more of a application oriented or maybe a little more technical. So, I wanted you to understand those very basic fundamental, and that's why the most of the questions that you can find out in the question paper, they are more of very basic fundamental questions, right? Straightforward questions, not much more of application oriented or not much twisted. So the whole motive was you to make you aware with the very basic fundamentals, which are, if you can see the previous year, if you have been through the previous year question papers, so few of them have been picked up from there because those questions are really very important talking about the whole subject, machine learning subject, right? So we will divide the whole. The discussion will consist of like how what were the questions and what was expected answer for that particular question, as well as what can be the tentative, or you can say like a rough uh, weightage of marks for that particular question out of the total marks, right? Because like I was having a discussion the other day with the your juniors, and there was one very genuine doubt from their side that they were not so clear enough that how much content to be written for those many marks for a particular question, right? So that's a very genuine doubt that for 10 marks, let's say for 10 marks, how much to be written, right? So for 15 marks, how much have to be written? For 2 marks, how much have to be written? So there is no fixed scale you can measure for that, but definitely uh, the question itself gives you the idea how much worthy enough, how much worthy it is enough for for how many marks that particular question or the particular marks has been asked for a question, how much to be written for that. So the best way to do is, according to me, when you prepare for any examinations or any particular let's say any particular topic. So when you prepare for any such thing, your preparation itself will tell you how much worthy enough that particular question is, whether how important that question is from the examination point of view, as well as how much it is worthy enough for how much content, right? So when you have better preparation, when your way of preparation is in line with the subject, like I always used to mention, every subject is different and every subject demands a particular kind of mentality, right? So you have to set up your mentality for that particular subject according to it, and likewise every subject is different. So when you get connected, when you have that setup mindset for that particular subject, then you get connected to that subject and you in turn will understand what this whole subject is all about, and accordingly you can plan your preparations. So the point is here that your way of preparation itself will tell you how important that, first of all, number one, how important that particular question is, whether it can be asked in the exam or not. And plus, second point, when it is asked, how much. Uh, to be written for that particular question depending on the marks that has been allotted for that, right? So because every question or every topic in a particular subject, it has a good amount of, you can say, a content, actual content. You know the actual content of a particular topic. For example, let's say candidate elimination algorithm. So you know what exactly is candidate elimination algorithm and how much the required content, essential content, right? So keeping that in mind, you would definitely come to know whether that particular question can be asked for how much marks, right? Definitely, it cannot be asked for 2 marks or 4 marks, right? The algorithm is a little lengthier. It's a little more complicated compared to find days algorithm. So definitely, usually it will be for, let's say, for 8 marks or maybe for 10 marks, and if it is has been asked for more detailed explanation or elaboration or with an example, then maybe for 10 marks or 15 marks, right? So just I'm just giving you an idea. So your preparation will itself tell you how much worthy enough that particular topic is for how many months, right? So accordingly, you should tune up your preparations, I would say. So, like I said, let's come back to the question paper. So most of the questions were very basic, straightforward. So what is the machine learning, right? So anybody want to give a try? You have already given your eye, but I would like to know from you guys. Yeah, what is machine learning according to? Now, when I ask this question, define machine learning, right? So it's uh, it's not mandatory or it is not very necessary that you have to stick to the exact definition to the of the textbook. Definitely, there are few important keywords that you have to consider because those keywords plays important role in a defining in any particular definition, right? So keeping those keywords in mind, you can frame your own sentences. There is no hard and fast rules. There's no strict rule that you have to produce this exact same definition uh, for any particular definition. I'm saying exactly the way it is in the textbook. So any raw definition, according to me, I mean, as far as you have given your raw definition and it is uh, near to the actual understanding or actual concept of machine learning, it is well and good. It is accepted. Not necessarily that it has to be the exact words which is mentioned in the textbook. Anyways, anybody want to give a try? What is machine learning according to you?
Some
Yeah.
machine learning is a process of making understand by access knowledge that
Can you repeat again, Ravi?
machine learning is a process where we make machine to understand and learn by itself with the previous experience or knowledge base that we are giving to it.
Very well put forward. It covers everything basically, right? So as he said, exactly, machine learning it's a process to train a machine, as the name suggests, machine learning, right? So it's the process, and it's a very deep process. It's a very vast process. For every particular problem, there is a different kind of solution. No, there is no one size fit all solution, right? For every problem, there is a different solution out there. So, just to put it in a nutshell, it is just a process to make or think the machine in a way like how a human think, right? Or if a particular question is asked to a human, what usual response a particular human, any person would be giving. That sense of intelligence is what we are trying to bring in the machines by executing few algorithms depending on the problem, right? So it's a very vast thing. So there can be many definitions, but ultimately can lead to the same meaning, right? So when you talk about AI, similar definition, people can we can have a debate on it. Like the exact same definition is all actually fits for AI and not machine learning, or maybe for deep learning. So, but just to put it in a nutshell, AI is actually very vast compared to machine learning. Machine learning can you can say it's a part of AI, and deep learning is a part of machine learning. It's a subset of machine learning. Right? Deep learning is more in-depth analysis of all these machine learning tasks that we do. So AI is really a very, you can say, a big balloon inside which we have machine learning, a sub part of or a subset of it, and inside that we can say it's a deep learning is what. So talking about the definition of machine learning, like why I'm giving you this picture is because you can relate it to what I want to say, right? So machine learning, what it is a process. The objective is to make the machine understand or make the machine do some task. That objective you can call it as AI or artificial intelligence. But how can we achieve that objective or that aim? By doing some processing, right? Some training, some testing, right? So that is machine learning. Machine learning is a process wherein we give some data to the machine to understand, to train. Then when we talk about training, there are different types of training, again, supervised, unsupervised, right? Reinforced learning. So those are different things. But just to put it into one single line, like he said, so machine learning, it's a process of making the machines to understand exactly the same way or nearly the same way like how human process, right? So as long as your definition, whatever you have produced in the answer script, is fits near to the actual concept or actual understanding of machine learning, it is well and good and is accepted. Fine. Now, now this whole question is asked for 10 marks, right? So, and you can see there are basically three sub questions, right? From the definition of what is machine learning, some few successful applications of machine learning, and also to produce the list and then eliminate algorithm, right? So if you want to divide is as I said, definition mostly they can be either for 1 marks or maximum for 2 marks. If it is has been asked for a little more elaborations, maybe for 4 marks, but not more than that, right? So out of 10 you can consider maybe for 2 marks for this machine learning definition, and some successful applications of machine learning maybe for 6 marks, right? Because we have discussed a few around 6 to 8 applications of machine learning, if you can recall what we have discussed in the class. So that brings out roughly around 6 marks or so for the uh, application. So as you can see, it is just to mention some successful applications. So I can see there are few people who have explained it. So if the explanation is just one liner or two liner, that is fine. But few people they have written 4 5 lines of paragraph. So it's a good practice, I would say, but it is not required unless it is really asked in the question to explain the applications, right? So here, keeping in the mind that there were three sub questions which were to be asked for 10 marks. I have just asked to list out or just to mention those applications. So even if you have mentioned it, you will fetch the same marks, or even if you have explained it, you will get the same marks. So please read the questions carefully. That will save a lot of your time, and you would actually end up fetching more marks compared to, whatever the question marks have been allotted for that particular question. So wherever it is asked for the explanation, you can go for explanation. But if it is not asked, then better restrict yourself from explaining too much, because there is a tendency that whenever it's a normal human tendency that whenever you know a particular question, maybe your question which you have prepared very well, that might be your favorite question or something. So you feel like writing down everything that you know for that question, right? So, but in that course, what happens? You end up wasting too much time for a question which is not much worthy enough, or which can end up giving you maximum marks for that question. That's it, nothing more than that, right? For example, let's take this question itself, mentioning some successful applications of machine learning. So even if you mention it, you will get the same 6 marks for it. Even if you explain it in paragraphs, you will get the same 6 marks for it. So that might be your favorite question, but you are actually wasting your time in producing something which might not be fruitful enough for you, right? So restrict yourself from giving out too much content also, but at the same time keep in mind wherever the explanation is required or in that uh, analysis of that is required. In that case, don't forget to elaborate those things in depth, because marks. In those cases, marks will be higher for those questions, and more content will be expected by the examiner, right? So here, even if you have mentioned, you will get the same marks. And list and eliminate algorithm, it is just hardly 4 lines of code. So that will fetch you another maybe 2 marks or 3 marks maximum, 2 marks. Right, so that makes 2 plus 6 plus 2, that is 10 marks for this. So this understanding that how much marks would a particular question would carry, this only comes with the way of preparation. If you have a better preparation plan, or when you have a good preparation, that itself will tell you that how much that question is worthy enough to be asked for how much marks, right? Okay, so let's move ahead. That those were a few things that I have seen, few common mistakes few people have done. So don't repeat it in the final exam, because uh, the questions, I mean, the question paper is for 100 marks or maybe for 80 marks for you guys, and all 5 modules. So the duration for every question which is required, you may spend much more time in one question, which will result in leaving few questions in the end. So that shouldn't happen. So keep these things in your mind, and uh, you know plan your course of action whenever you before you start your answering in your booklets, right? So that will help you a lot. So always take 5 minutes time. I'm talking from the final examination point of view, that always take at least 5 to 10 minutes of your initial exam duration to understand the question paper, and keep in mind which questions to be attended first, so that you have a better flow, and fixed a time frame for a particular question. Nothing more than that. If that particular question is taking too much time, leave wherever you are, I mean, till the point whatever you have done, and move ahead with the next question. And later, if time permits, you can come back to it. But spending much more time on just one question, uh, it's not sensible enough. Fine. So second part, that is question 1B, explain the steps involved in designing machine learning. Now here is, as you can see, it is not just listing out or mentioning the steps, explaining the steps involved in designing the machine learning, right? So we have seen a flow chart for it also, and also illustrate with a functional diagram to program the models for checkers learning problem. So in fact, I've asked the same question which we have done in the class. I was thinking to ask whether the robotics problem or any other problem, that backgammon game, like that. But since the checkers itself is little complicated, not much, but little complicated, so I wanted to stick to it what we have done in the class. Uh, so that's the reason I've asked the same problem, same uh, illustration of the same problem, that is checkers problem. So in this case, as you can see, it is for 15 marks. This whole question is for 15 marks. So you can clearly see that this is the illustration of the functional diagram of the problem for checkers. So this is not just the checkers problem, but you have to also illustrate it with the help of a diagram, right? So definitely this will carry more marks than the previous one. And these are just the steps which you have to explain. So if I have to split it into like marks, this might be somewhere around 7 marks, and this might be 8 marks, or this might be 6 marks, and this might be 9 marks, right? I'm talking for total 15 marks, right? So similar split you can do those for 15 skim guys. Uh, for them, this whole question was for 9 marks. So in that case, you can consider the above question for 3 marks, and this question may be for 6 marks, right? Or maybe uh, this particular question for 4 marks, and remaining 5 marks for this. So you should, the point is here, you should understand right from the reading the question, that how much marks that particular question would carry. So depending on that, you can decide upon how much content to be written on that particular question. So that is the whole motive of making you these things understand. I hope the whatever I'm saying is making sense to your any doubt. Anything, any clarification you require, please. Yeah, guys, speak up. I don't know, like, what's wrong with you. Okay, so I think I shouldn't waste much time. Okay, so machine learning definition, I have already told you some applications. Let me just show you what was the expected answers for this. So definitions and some applications are these, right? So we had few, let's make it full screen. Right. So some of the applications which were expected were this. So you have to just list out these applications as long as it was asked to just mention it. So these applications, learning to recognize spoken words, autonomous vehicle, uh, astronomical structures, the game, world class game, backgammon. These were the applications. Right. Next question. List then eliminate algorithm. List then eliminate algorithm. I think you already know, right? So just the algorithm would do it. It was just to produce the algorithm. Second was steps involved in designing the machine learning. So this, what I wanted to say here was, let me show you. Yeah. So we had this problem designing a learning system wherein we saw in detail about the checkers problem, right? So we went through some tutorials and those things and few technical things, few terminologies and so on. And we discussed the problem. How can we select the or choose the training experience and choose the target functions, right? And also how can we represent those, right? So these things what we have discussed. So as long as your answer contains these illustrations with this final important diagram, this is the final design of the checkers learning problem. So the same problem I have asked in the exam also. If you are producing this diagram with the explanation and the illustration of these steps, you will fetch the complete marks. That gives you the that was the intern answer for this question also, like functional diagram, the program models for checkers learning problem. So this consists of both. So steps involved are, let me show you again, these, right? These were the steps, and the illustration of the whole diagram, this whole process was this. All right, okay, fine. So issues in machine learning, we saw some of the issues or problems which are perspectives and issues in machine learning. We discussed how these questions remain unanswered, right? They are still yet to be explored much, not explored till a good extent, I would say. So currently, these were the issues that were like currently we have in machine learning. Of course, few of them have been later now revised and have much more better answers compared to what we have in our test book. But apart from it, sticking to our syllabus, maybe these are still the issues in the machine learning. So these is the expected answers along with its explanation, which is roughly for 10 marks, right? So next is the explain the purpose of concept learning task, right? So what is the whole motive or the purpose of a concept learning? We took a lot of examples, like we took example of a bird, car, and so on. Let me show you. Yeah. So we understood what first of all what is a concept, what do we mean by a concept, and how a human conceive what is a concept, and then we move ahead to make it learn to a machine, right? How can a machine understand what is concept learning? So what is the purpose of concept learning task or concept learning, right? So this is what is expected answer here. And the next question was to apply the same, apply the findings algorithm on the given data set, right? So this data set, which was again taken from the textbook for your familiarity, so that you can relate to what findings algorithm is and how it can be applied, right? So In this case, maybe for 5 marks for what is the purpose of concept learning task, and 10 marks to apply this findings algorithm. So when I say this, what was expected was, let me show you the slide. This, so you don't have to really list the Widener's algorithm. In fact, you have to apply it on this example, right? So the explanation of these steps, how do we get this, right, was expected. Now, part B, that is distinguish between a general ordering and specific ordering. Now, I don't know why few people have got confused with this. Some people have written the answer for general to specific ordering, right? We had a concept called general to specific ordering, right? More general than relationship and so on. We discussed those aspects. But read the question properly. The question says us distinguish between general ordering and specific ordering, right? Few people have written. Let me show you that. Yeah. So I don't know why few people have got confused with respect to this general to specific ordering of hypothesis, and they have written these answers, right? Uh, what is general to specific ordering? More general than relationship and so on. These things. But this is not the question is to distinguish between what is a general ordering and what is a specific ordering, right? Which we have studied during version space. Let me go back to that slide and show you. Right. So, followed by the second part. What was the second part? That to identify the purpose of version space. So, general ordering, specific ordering, and version space is what was expected, right? So, let me show you. Yeah. So a version space, what is version space? First of all, right? The definition is here. How do we denote a version space? If you have uh, given this notation, well and good. Or else, just definition will also give you full marks for that. And along with this diagram, and maybe an example would be well and good. If you produce that thing with an example, this was the example we discussed, right? So that these things will fetch you full marks. But distinguishing between a general ordering and a specific ordering, by that I mean what is specific and what is general, right? So let me show you. Yeah, right before this, we learned about what is general and specific, right? So most general and most specific. These were just the example that we saw. So the question was to distinguish between what is a general and what is a specific ordering, right? So general ordering and specific ordering. A simple example of which can demonstrate what is the difference between these. So few people I don't know they have got confused and they have explained this yeah, this one, like general to specific hypothesis. So even if you are explaining this thing, but with the difference, with mentioning the differences between general ordering and specific ordering, even then it will be accepted. But the main idea behind that question was to make you aware with the differences of general ordering and specific ordering. Right. So, explaining candidate elimination algorithm with an example, those who have attempted, they have done it, no problem. It's a straightforward question. So, a few people have written the algorithm for it. Few people have explained with as an example. So, algorithm, even if you have written, given you some marks, but what is expected here is to just demonstrate or explain the working of this candidate elimination algorithm with taking an example, right? So, let me go to that slide. Yeah. So this was the candidate elimination algorithm, and we saw what is an algorithm. Though the algorithm was not asked, a few people have written it, but still have given some marks there. But what was expected was this example. If you are explaining what is candidate elimination algorithm, taking any example, uh, be this the same or any your own example, much more appreciated. But these steps, stepwise explanation of how candidate elimination algorithm works is what is more important there. So right from this general specific hypothesis, general hypothesis, then taking first training example, how trace it, how do we trace, how do we apply this candidate elimination algorithm, and finally the final version space of this example. Right. So as long as you're explaining this example, you will fetch the full marks, that is 15 marks here. Right. So as I said, candidate elimination algorithm, the algorithm itself is little lengthier or little advanced compared to finders algorithm. So when this particular example algorithm is asked with an example, definitely it will carry more marks. So working of this algorithm along with an example, that's why 15 marks is allowed. Fine. Moving ahead, question 4a. Discuss when to consider decision tree. Now, again, a few people, I don't know, those who have attempted this fourth question, uh, they have end up explaining about decision tree, what is decision tree and so on. But the explanation is not what was expected here. We have to consider, we have to discuss what or when we have to consider the decision tree algorithm. So the question was little twisted, or it was not even twisted. It was just asked in different words that when shall we consider this decision tree algorithm, or when can we say that the decision tree learning algorithm is suitable, right? So the other way to put it is when decision tree learning algorithm is appropriate for what problems it is appropriate. So to answer that, it was, let me open the module 2. Yeah. So few people have explained these things. What is decision tree method? It approximates the discrete value target functions and so on. But the question is, let me show you again. Question is to discuss when to consider, right? It is not what is decision tree learning algorithm, when to consider this decision tree learning algorithm. So it is actually nothing but when or what problems that can be classified for this decision tree learning algorithm, or what problems gets best suited uh, to be considered for the decision tree learning algorithm. Right? So few people they have answered it. They have got this catch really good, and they have answered these points, important points. That is, it is best considerable when we have instances which are represented by attribute value pair, and then decision tree is considered when we have target function which has discrete output values, when the disjunctive description may be required, and when the training data has errors or the training data has some missing values. In those cases, we consider the decision tree learning algorithm. So that was the other way of asking what are the appropriate problems for decision tree learning. So though the answer was not too much worthy enough for those 10 marks, but the really the catch here was to whether you have got that thing right, that when to consider this decision tree learning algorithm. For that logical thinking, I would say more 3 marks, or yeah, 2 to 3 marks for that logical thinking. Right. Now the next question is, what is decision tree representation? Right. So what do we mean by uh, decision tree representation? And then illustrate the benefits of decision tree representation. So if you carefully see this question, that is to illustrate the benefits of decision tree learning, decision tree representation with the problems that we have to consider when we have to consider the decision tree. So the points here that when should we consider decision tree itself is the benefit of using the decision tree and its representation, right? So if you know these answer, you can indirectly answer this particular question also, right? So this definition might be for just for 4 marks. What is decision tree representation? Or at maximum for 4 marks, and remaining 10 to 11 marks will be just to illustrate the benefits of decision tree with an example, right? So few people have just illustrated the benefits without taking example. That will fetch you around 8 marks, maybe maximum 8 marks. But if you're taking with an example, it will help you fetch around whole like 10 to 11 marks, right? And remaining 4 marks for your definition for what is decision tree. So let me show you what was expected. Yeah. So what is decision tree representation is this is expected, right? So this was the procedure. How do we represent a decision tree? But just to put it in a nutshell or one liner, if you see, we have already defined decision tree representation here. So I have multiple times I have iterated this thing, right? Decision tree represents a disjunction of conjunctions of the constraints on the attribute values. Right? So we had an example of the same playing tennis with some constraint in it, and the conjunctions of those constraints, right? Then the disjunctions of all these conjunctions will give you the representation of decision tree, which is nothing but in this fashion. So this is the representation, usual representation of decision tree. But how it is represented, this definition will tell you how this tree is constructed or represented, right? But some people are given this the process of representation also, which is also fine. It will be also accepted, right? So I think that tells everything about what was expected answers for those questions. So I think you should be in a position to self-evaluate yourself, though the marks will be given to you once all the papers get corrected. All right. So before that, just go through this lecture once again. What was the answer that was expected, and do a self-evaluation and see where you lack and what are the mistakes that you have done. And please don't carry forward those mistakes from the examination's point of view, final semester examination point of view, because here sometimes what happens, we know the candidate, like how much it is capable enough or what he might intend to write, but there in the final examination, the person who's correcting may not know you, and he or she will definitely correct you on the basis or give you the marks on the basis of just what you have written, right? Exactly what you have written on the paper. That is the only medium through which he can understand you and allot marks. So here we can make our own arrangements, or we can say that okay, this guy might be he has used this statement, but the actual what he meant was this maybe, and we you can get a benefit of doubt there. But from the final exam point of view, you might not be into the benefit of doubt, right? So don't carry forward these mistakes and do a self-analysis. Read the questions very carefully. Every question, whenever a particular question is asked in a question paper, it has gone through many filters, and there is always a reason behind every word selected for in a question, in a particular question. So act accordingly. Your answer should incline towards whatever is asked in the questions, exactly what is asked. If it is asked for the explanation, provide the explanation. If it asks just to mention it, just mention it. Just to be on safer side, you can give a one-liner explanation, even if it is asked for just mentioning or listing out. Right? And if it is asked with an example, don't forget to give an example, because if it is asked with an example, example will definitely carry marks. Even though you have written very well answered, let's take this same example, same question, that is explain candidate elimination algorithm. It might be the case that you know the candidate elimination algorithm very well, right? And you have explained it in the best possible way, but you have not taken with an example, right? You have not given an example for it. So in that case, what maximum marks that evaluator can give you is half of the allotted marks, right? So if the question is asked for 15 marks, you might get around 8 marks or 7 marks if you explain very well. I'm giving you the best case scenario. If you know the candidate elimination algorithm very well, you have explained it in the best possible words, then, but with no example, then you might get maximum 7 to 8 marks, because it was asked with an example. So definitely example will carry marks, half of the marks here. So you will be end up losing those marks. So reading question very carefully is very important. Don't just blindly start away with whatever you know. Think from the evaluation point of view what is asked, right? You don't have to give your best, and you have to give what they are asking for, right? You don't have to give what is best, you have to give what is right for that question. right? So sometimes it's a normal human tendency that few questions when they appear in the question paper, you feel happy, you feel like okay, yeah, I know this and I want to answer everything. I don't want to lose even a single marks for that question. I want to fetch full marks for that particular question. But at the same time, keep in the mind the time that particular question takes to answer to its fullest, and also the marks allotted for it. If you feel it's worthy enough, then you should go for it. Else, stick to how much is essentials of those questions, of that particular question. At the necessary point, important points for those for that topic, which will give you maximum marks, which will fetch you maximum marks. So these are the silly things which few of them we have already discussed in previous subjects when I have taken your other subject, but I've seen few of them are repeating these things. So please don't carry forward, because you are capable enough to get good marks, but because of these silly mistakes, you end up getting less marks, and you eventually blame someone else, or maybe the system that अरे यार पूरा तो लिखा था, I have written 80 marks, I was expecting 80 marks, but you end up having 60 or 70, right? So that gap of 10 or 20 marks, that gap comes because of your misinterpretation of the questions that was asked, right? So I hope you don't carry these mistakes henceforth. Maybe be it I or be it your final exams, consider these inputs whatever I have given for all kind of examinations, not just my subject, any subject. Apart from it, from your side, any kind of doubt or any difficulty that you faced that you want to have more clarification from this I question paper point.
No, sir.
Okay. So I think the list of all the project groups has been already circulated to you, and I mean, I believe you must have already started off with uh, at least started off thinking with on ground. A few of them are really doing good. They have already started with the project, but at least about those others, I'm talking about others who have not yet started. At least now your eyes are over, and now at least you have you some time to start hunting on the problems which can be selected for your project as your final year project. So make sure that the problem or the whatever that you're selecting for your final year project, it's worthy enough to be called as a engineering final year project, and it shouldn't be just a small project which can be just a small hobby project kind of thing, right? A mini project. So make sure that it's a good project, and once you still select the topic, of course, as I remember, you have asked me to take one session. So maybe tomorrow or day after, I'll let you know about it when I can find time to adjust one session for that. We will have one session as to how to go about selecting a topic for your final year project. Though it is late in the sense, this is not the actual time. You should always actually be ready with your title at least, what title to be selected for your final year project before even you enter your final year, right? But nevertheless, it's never too late to start good. So we will have a session on it, and I'll help you give my inputs or my suggestions or my observations as to how can one go about selecting a particular topic for their project, right? Or how to select a topic, or how to select a problem in a real-time scenario, right? So apart from this, anything that you want more clarification? Be it anything with respect to machine learning or with respect to project.
No, sir.
What about others? Please respond. Okay, so if there are no doubts, then we shall conclude the lecture. You are free to leave the. Thank you.